This is what your inner child wants you to know, and has probably been trying to tell you for a long while. You may be drawn to more than one pile, and I suggest that if you feel that way, you seek the other pile out, but let's start with one. So for the first pile, it is a blue, green, and orange elephant. The second is a pink and white hippo. So cute. I got these from IKEA. I don't know if anyone recognizes them. And then the last one is a yellow and orange lion. I wonder if this has anything to do with the solar plexus and even sacral chakras. But whichever you're attracted to, whichever your inner kid feels like they want to grab the most, that's the pile for you. Sometimes, and I often feel this way, is I'll immediately know which one it is, but it's always good to slow it down and to get that confirmation before you just pick a pile. All right, now let's get into the first pile. So this is for pile number 1, or pile elephant. The elephant spirit is about remembering. So there may be something in the past that you either are holding on to, trying to honor a memory, but also let go of the way you felt that you had to act in order to protect yourself from whatever happened in that memory. This is likely something, if we're doing inner children, our inner child work, this is definitely something that happened as a child that you're still carrying with you, in a way that it inhibits your day-to-day life or even in achieving your goals. You have to also remember that you're an adult now. So anything that's going on in the life, if something triggers you and puts you back into feeling like a child, that's a really good indication that that is the memory that this elephant is trying to bring to your attention. But first we have an animal card, an archetype card, a Kuan Yin card. She's like a mother energy. And then I'm using the Kawaii Tarot to lay out a spread. Interesting. I felt like this deck was just kind of perfect. So I'm going to lay this spread out for you so you can look at it. Ooh, Anima Mundi, and then Brown Bear. And I'll leave this up at the top. I'm going to let you soak that in. And then I'll let you soak that in. And then we'll get into the reading. Right. Hi, pile elephant, or pile number 1, whatever you prefer. I have your spread here, which you just looked at. The first card in your tarot lineup is the 8 of Cups. And the 8 of Cups is about leaving something behind that you thought would be fulfilling to you. This is definitely surrounding the past, and particularly trying to move towards something really bright and promising, particularly around family. This could be you leaving behind that past memory that the elephant was talking about to create this 10 of Cups. Maybe there was in some way you may feel as if this 10 of Cups is out of reach. Like you want to build the family, you want to feel like you have a happy family life. But with the 6 of Wands in reverse, there's a sense of not being able to reach it, not being able to celebrate. It's almost as if, okay, which is interesting. It's almost as if you have this 10 of cups, but you just can't feel like it's there, or like you don't feel as fulfilled or celebrated in what you thought the 10 of cups was going to bring you. Especially since we have the 8 of cups right next to it. And this very chubby penguin going up towards the light out of the depths of the water. It's as if you have the family, you have the community, you have the group, and yet it's still not, there's like a lack of happiness. There's a lamenting. This is kind of, I feel like this card's a little dark, to be totally honest. I mean, it's very cute, right? But it's a seal, like, on a piece of ice, thinking about the ice caps melting. Very fun. There's this feeling of you're still lamenting what you lost in the past, which is the thing that the 8 of Cups, I think you thought you'd left behind. I think you're still in the process of that leaving behind. And until you let go of that painful memory, that painful past, you won't be able to celebrate or feel recognized in the community and the family that you have. The only reason, I mean, if I saw the 10 of Cups reversed, I would probably say that you don't have this. This is something you're working towards, something that you want, but it's just not there for you. I mean, I would say it's just not there for you, but it is there. I also see there's this feeling of like you have this 10 of Cups, and it's something you always wanted, but I think there's a fear in it. There's a fear that it's going to get lost again. And so instead of allowing the actual loss to happen naturally, if it's going to happen, it's almost like you want to do it prematurely. So I want to say that ultimately, no matter okay. There's this feeling of needing to leave this 10 of Cups behind because it doesn't bring you the fulfillment you thought it would, but that isn't why it's not fulfilling. That's why it doesn't feel like this 10 of Cups moment yet, because you're still caught up in waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it's led you to be, this King of Cups reversed, it's led you to be very reserved with your emotions. You are not willing to be open, to be vulnerable, and to have dominion over your emotions. And I don't mean dominion as if like we control our emotions, because we don't. I don't believe we do. And I think trying to get a grip on the way you feel and force yourself to feel something that you don't, or to feel something that you don't, or to stop feeling the way you do, is to just creates resistance in you and particularly in your body. There are a lot of cups on this. It's interesting. It's like cups on either side, and then in the fulcrum spot, the very middle of this 5 spread, is these 5 or the 6 of Wands. So there's a lack of passion. There's this want to feel celebrated and safe and seen in your community, but you're holding back because of this 5 of Cups. There may have also been something that happened recently within the 10 of Cups community, family space that is bringing you back to that previous memory that you have, this 8 of Cups, where you had to leave something behind. It's bringing back that feeling, and perhaps, okay, for some of you, your response to when you had a 5 of Cups moment with other people, which can be repaired, there's still 2 cups here, only 3 of the cups have spilled, you're not recognizing there's still either people in your life, maybe each of these cups is a representation of people in your community and you've lost 3 of those people. Maybe you've lost 1, perhaps, but it feels like a big part of the whole. And so whenever you felt this happen, this abandonment, I feel like it's abandonment, particularly with the inner child, your response was to leave everyone behind. Oh, if I'm going to be left, if I'm going to be abandoned, if I'm going to be left out in the cold, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave before they can leave me, because at least then it's my choice. The inner child does not want to do that anymore. The inner child wants you to slow down. And this is interesting. So they want you to slow down. They want you to allow yourself to have your emotions, feel like you don't need to control them, and allow them to move through you. Like there's lots of waves in the imagery that I have in front of me, but also to not be bowled over by them. And that's what I mean by having dominion over your feelings, is that you can have emotions, but they don't control you. You don't have to control your emotions, but you don't allow your emotions to control you. And that's what the King of Cups really does. Because a healthy King of Cups knows how to ride the waves, right? A healthy King of Cups knows how to find joy in the turbulence of the ever-changing ebb and flow of the tide, and finds excellence in it by being a crazy surfer, right? But you can feel until you grieve, because I think there is a need to grieve what is gone. Until you grieve that fully, and then find trust in being where you are with the community that you have, you're gonna feel this desire and this need. Almost, it's not a need, it's a false coping mechanism to run, to leave it behind. Or you're just going to be in this sort of limbo state where you're not actually fully available and present with the people that you're with. Let me look at these brown bear spirit card, because this bear spirit, or like bear medicine, bears in general, they usually talk about caution and slowness in and having the strength. It's not about like, there's a lot of power. Bears carry a lot of power and they can be an apex predator. But they're not like major hunters. They'll eat fish, but they're not your, you know, tigers. They're not your lions. They're not on the hunt as much as they are foraging. So it's like being able to be slow and cautious, and carry your power with you without feeling like you have to show it, or, what's the word? Like you don't have to constantly try to control. Again, the King of Cups. Anima Mundi. So I pulled these 2 cards. They're very different. The bear and the archetypes deck. I am going to go bring the books very quickly, and we'll look deeper into these cards. So to start with the bear card that we have here, I do think the caution and the slowness is definitely a message here, as well as just taking time out to meditate, to even sleep. There's a lot of concern and worry about what's going on in regards to the tarot spread, at least the situation that I'm reading for this pile. There is a need to slow down. Just in general, slow down, take in what is, and without any rejection, hold it in your awareness. I feel like your inner child is just asking you to be present with what is, especially in conjunction with the Anima Mundi card, which is the everything, the all. Nothing is rejected, everything is embraced. Everything, there is no need for separation. I mean, this card is, if you look at this image, it's just completely a jumble of universal energy. But I think in regards to the inner child, it's just asking you to, your inner child is just asking you to embrace all of the experience of your inner child. That includes when your inner child is throwing a tantrum, when your inner child is terrified, and without feeling any shame or guilt about that. Even in the shame and guilt, like accepting it when it comes, uh, this is the thing that you can't control this. You can't control this. There is no controlling the all or the totality of your experience, particularly emotionally. Um, the last card that I want to get into for this reading is this one. So this is the Kuan Yin Oracle card that I pulled. This deck is really sweet. There's text on the back, which I'll read, but I also just like to show the card. Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva. I guess just Google it. Google her. It's very, I feel like with this spread, her energy is very much welcome because she's a very sweet, mothering energy. And she was, I believe, once mortal, and is now an ascended master who has dedicated her essence to helping us ascend. So, the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. Brightness of your future. Listen to your discontent, your yearning. You want something true. You should not just be quiet and get back to your day job or how things have been, as if you were making a drama out of nothing. You are meant to be moved by these feelings, to become more alive. Trust in the brightness of what is meant to be. That is so perfect. This is so perfect. Every time I get one of those cards, it's just, I feel like the right thing. Because again, the embrace, slow down, to take time out, and to not just go back into your life like nothing happened. I believe this Five of Cups moment has really disturbed you. And there's a need to grieve whatever happened. So when you try to move on as if nothing happened, Six of Wands, try to parade around as if nothing has gone on, you're really shutting down your ability to make space and observe the tides, the waves, and in this case, probably a tidal wave of emotion. You are not making a drama out of nothing, and your inner child wants you to know that the way you feel when you have those primary emotions, those primal emotions, the sad, hurt, scared, angry, even disgust, when you feel those those really primal emotions that don't have words. I mean, you can define them with a word, but like when you feel them, there is no word that really encapsulates that feeling that you get in your body. You can describe it, but it doesn't touch it. You need to be moved. If you don't allow that to happen, you're gonna get stuck. It's gonna get stagnant and trapped in the body. And here's the thing, is that if you close yourself off from feeling what it is that you need to feel, eventually you will feel it. Eventually it always comes back. And by feeling feeling your feelings in general, which I feel like because of the prominence of water here, either you feel whenever you get to have a feeling or emotion, you feel overwhelmed by it, so then you shut it down and you reject and cast aside the feeling, or you've done that so much, like either this thing has unlocked that again for you, and so you're trying to shut it down because that's been the coping mechanism. You've done that so much to this point that you just don't feel anything anymore. You stopped. It's almost as if your inner child has felt so neglected. And all it really wants is to be witnessed. That's all the bear is here to tell you, is like, slow down. And I guess caution is not necessarily the right word, but awareness. to just take enough time to witness what is. And I think caution kind of describes that insofar as you have to slow down to see what's ahead of you or what's happening within you. Hey, when someone talks to me this way in this tone, I have this bodily reaction. Have you actually slowed down enough to 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 take stock of what happens? Do you get an immediate anxious reaction when the phone rings? Why is that? And then allowing that to move in through your conscious without rejection, to accept all of it as is without having to manipulate it, without having to judge it, without having to resist it. I love you, and I hope that you are able to give yourself and your inner child the attention and loving care that they deserve. Also, self-care can be letting other people take care of you. Because with what's going on here, I feel like, especially when I see the Five of Cups and the King of Cups reversed here, I feel as if you haven't allowed people in. Like, the closed off the the calcification of an emotional egg. I don't know if egg's the right word, but like it's like calcifying on your edges so that people can't penetrate. And not like penetrate as in like, like it's an invasion, but you're not allowing people in, right? There's no permeability when you calcify your edges. Because I feel like when I see this Ten of Cups, is that there are people there who want to be there for you, but because you have this, that your response to when something like this happens is to run away, you're not allowing people to witness you. And thus, because you're not witnessing yourself. So slow down. You're not making nothing, something out of nothing. And trust in the brightness of what is meant to be. Even if right now it seems really dark. I love you. Thanks, Pile One. Thank you for letting me read this for you. And if you like this reading and you'd like an expansion of this reading, you can go to my website and book a personal reading at friendlymystic.com. Or you can go to my Patreon and we have extended readings there for those of you who resonated with this reading and want more depth and more guidance on the topics that we brought up. Anyway, have a great day. Bye. Hello, Pile 2 or Pile Hippopotamus. Pile Pink Hippo as your code name, right? So the hippo is an enormous creature with enormous power and very territorial. And you'd think by the size of the hippo that the hippo would not be a very graceful creature or be particularly good at swimming, but the hippo navigates water very well. The hippo is able to live both in water and on land, and thus is really adept at being in their emotions, or by our emotional waters. If we use hippo's medicine or hippo energy, we can create for ourselves boundaries around our emotions and be powerful in them. We're able to stay with our head above water and float in the water without feeling overtaken by it. So perhaps for this reading for Pink Hippo, it would be wise, or at least advised, to be able to find grace in your emotional waters and to have emotional boundaries with other people. Ooh, interesting. The Starborn and the Antelope Spirit. But let's get into the tarot really quick. So I want to show you the cards. Ooh, I love the sun in the center like that. That is wonderful. Not crazy about the Nine of Swords, but you know what? Take the good with the bad, right? So I'm going to let you look at this really quickly and just let you soak it in. And then we'll get into your reading. Okay, pile 2. Let's get into your reading. So the first 2 cards I have are the King of Swords reversed with the Knight of Coins reversed. There may have been an argument. Either you are the Knight of Coins or you are the King of Swords. You'll understand who you are based on the place you take in the argument. I feel like there's this conflict because these 2 forces, these 2 entities are facing one another, and neither of them are particularly pleased about the arrangement. But I feel like this could be some conflict at work. There may be a taskmaster in your life, or you are a taskmaster, and there's somebody who's very obstinate to your direction because they don't feel like what you're doing is practical, or vice versa. Just take what resonates. This could be also, if this is not happening externally, I usually find that there is some sort of external expression of what's going on. There is a taskmaster, a highly idealistic person, who is really cut off from the way they feel, and they are trying to control how they go about their work, how they go about their life, and the practical, material, day-to-day, workings of the world. And with this one, there just feels like there's this slowness, like they don't want to move forward. They feel like this. Oh, okay. It's like when you guilt yourself over not working hard enough. With the Knight of Coins reversed, there's this. The Knight of Coins or Pentacles is someone who is generally very incessantly working, not to the point of exhaustion, but every day, consistently, all the time. And so when I see this in reverse, what I'm really getting is that you are so tired of the grind. You were so tired of going in and out, day in, day out. This could be overwork as well. There's a need for a break here, especially, I'm not getting into this card yet, but the Antelope in reverse, life is going too fast. You need to slow down. But there's this critical parent energy, this likely someone you feel like when you have to do these things, you have this mental plan, and if you don't execute so well, there's a perfectionist energy here. There's a desire to negative self-talk based on what your high ideal is, or what the plan, not sticking to the plan. You're just not able to actually execute the work, the tangible work of the intangible thought to the degree that this King of Swords energy, whether this is either or both, a taskmaster in your life that is creating a conflict for you externally. This could be a boss that is not, this is creating the reflection of this internal conflict externally, where you have someone who's a taskmaster who is never pleased with the work that you do, and creates these rules, this structure, this control of what you're meant to do, and somehow rebelling against it, maybe in the way that you're like, well, I'm just not going to do it as quickly or as well as I could, or procrastinating, when really there's this just need to go outside. I say that because I see the sun. There needs to be this reckoning with the way that you're overdoing it. Your inner child wants to go outside and play. You have not given yourself the ability to go outside and play. And right now I feel as though there's been a lot of concern and worry. This is giving, there's a very busy energy here. This is Nine of Swords reversed. There has not been any recognition of like what actual thoughts and the thoughts that create the emotion and the guilt that you're carrying, and how shining a light on it with the sun, and also just taking the time to be with them. Because I think that with the negative self-talk, that's either the negative talk, period, or the negative self-talk, or both, it's coming from this King of Swords energy, is really like in, where am I going with this? Or where's it going? Like wherever that's coming from, it's manifested in the thought forms that create the emotional reaction. Right? I'm trying to make sense of this. But I think the central piece here is just going outside, being in your truth, illuminating what's in the dark. And I feel like there's one card here that feels a little like out of the spread a little bit, even though it's in the same 5 cards. It's the Hierophant upright. And it just feels as though your inner child is asking to be a teacher. Your inner child has this key to unlock your joy outside of this conflict, or even through it, so that you relinquish the thoughts. Because like this negative talk, whether internal, external, or both, if it's external, it's likely internal as well. I don't think these come, from nowhere personally. But when you like actually get into that truth, and you see that the thought forms that were created for you by this King of Swords, if you're doing it to yourself, you were programmed. You were given it to you. It was given to you. It was shown that this is the right, if you don't measure up, you deserve ridicule and shame. But I feel like there's going to be this moment that comes where undeniably you see the inner being of yourself in its true, most pure form, and you're not going to be able to hold on. Like if you recognize that inner child, which I feel like the sun is the inner child showing up in the middle of the spread, is going to dispel those thought forms. And when you hear them repeated to you from other people, you won't take it on anymore. And I think also with the unicorn showing up in both these cards, both here and here, just different animals writing, it's really a reminder that nothing can take that away from you. And there is always a room, there always needs to be, this is a need, not a desire, there always needs to be room for rest, rejuvenation, and play in your life. That currently with this Knight of Coins guilt of I'm not doing enough, I have to keep working, if I don't work I'm not worth anything, or I won't get the thing that I want, this push burnout kind of feeling. It's not, if you take the time to rest and recuperate, or to just play, that's not procrastinating, that's need. It's gotta, that guilt thought form, all of that programming that you have, that is these Nine of Swords have come from the King of Swords. So there's false belief. But if you allow the inner child to shine through you in the sun, there's so much learning that happens. Sometimes with this Hierophant, in this card it's going to be a little interesting to explain, but usually in the Hierophant card there's an elder figure in the middle, a masculine elder figure, and then two young attendants. But I feel like the attendants are really the teacher. And particularly when you actually learn if you take in the lessons and you take in, you accept and recognize the essence of your inner child by allowing yourself to just have some fun without feeling like you have to achieve these external goals to be happy or have worth or whatever it is, really. You unlock a part of yourself that you have completely forgotten. And with the antelope card, I think I brought this up earlier, this is just a reflection of when you're going too fast, when you're trying, I'm getting ahead of myself, but with the Knight of Coins here, this usually in the healthy expression of the Knight of Coins, it's a steady plotting. The Knight of Coins knows when to rest and knows what, I don't know if productive is the right word, but like productive rest. That there's a place and time for work, and there's a place and a time for rest and sleep and recuperation and going with the flow, and not thinking of that, thinking of just because it's not going always or slowing down, that means that it's done or stopped or, your progress is ended. You're like, it's not quitting. Going to sleep isn't quitting, it's getting ready for the next day. But really, whoever this person is, your inner child is like, live a little. And I feel like with this King of Swords energy, that negative, the verbal abuse, inside, outside, within or without, both, and it's really helping you. It's really here to teach you to have some emotional boundaries, like the Hippo, to be able to defend your emotional waters from being tainted or tainted by others, by what other people think, what other people think you should be doing, and really sussing out where inside of your own mind have you allowed this to have a nest, where have you allowed it to nestle into your own mind. What have you internalized around it? Because that's not your essential nature. This is your essential nature. Fun-loving, bright, radiant. You might be a Leo. But Leo energy, in the sun, like solar energy, is that internal essence, that thing that like everybody still recognizes in you, even from when you were a child. So there is something a little childlike about Leos, because they are just radiating that unchanging internal essence that they came in with. They're the reflection of their spirit to the outer world. The sun is the representation, and I would say even in the literal sense, is the indweller of all being. The sun is the radiating central eternal light that everything rotates around, at least in our universe, or at least in our solar system, right, that we live in. So within our own bodies, there's this feeling of, within ourselves, there is an eternal spirit soul that reflects outward, and from which everything within our lives it is central to everything in our lives. Something that unchanging, what's the word? Like incorruptible nature. And right now, I feel like it's really being blocked, and in this tight relationship with everything that's going on for you. And also just needing to slow down enough to actually, see what's going on. Because right now, especially with the King of Swords energy, you are moving with the quickness in which you're moving with. You're not really you haven't been able to really take stock of what's going on. And you have to slow down to do that. You have to slow down to do that. You have to give your, I don't know, it gives me that feeling of, if you have a child, I don't know if any of you are parents, but if you have a child and you're just kind of rushing them from appointment to appointment, like, oh, you need to go to school, oh, you have to have your band practice, oh, you have to do, go to soccer, and then, you kind of have these checklists, you're like, maybe I'll read you a story, and then I'm sending you to bed. Where's the time to be? Where's the time to explore? Where's the time to just rest, have fun, go on a picnic, go for a walk, just beingness. There's no time for that right now. But especially, also, this is interesting. So with the King of Swords, this feels like the false critical parent, the false beliefs, the need to domineer oneself, with verbal abuse, and maybe attracting others who do that to us, when really what we need to transform that energy into is a present, conscious parent who's patient with us, who can teach us, who can guide us on our learning. Though with the Hierophant, there's usually a connotation of it being esoteric or spiritual in nature because it's a priest. There is also just like having someone to guide you through the different what's it called? Like just the different initiations in life, like much like a priest would, to guide you through different initiations. Like you didn't have that. But your inner child is looking to you now to become that present conscious parent, to guide them. Because if you're watching this, I assume that you're enough of an adult to realize that your mom or dad or parent is not going to show up for you. They can't. They were supposed to. They couldn't. And maybe now they may or may not apologize for what happened, how they spoke to you. They may not have any recognition of what happened, but you have to step in and make up for what they lacked. In a healthy development, naturally that would have been taught to you. You would have been able to seen it modeled by your parent and then have it taught to you. It is always indwelling. It's not that your parents, they stay your parents, but they don't parent you after a certain age. It's not the same anymore. And if you don't get that parenting when you're young and learn it and then have it carry it in you from your learning, you have to teach yourself. Let me look at the Starborn card in this spread. I'll hold it up for you in a moment. Which is the Divine Child, the Star Child, the Destined. Hello, inner child. I'm just going to read it. An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self, the Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial. The Starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. Dude, Holy shit. Like, this is the sun. This is the message of the sun. To know that there is this essence, spark, us being just light coming into matter, that is here for a reason. And that may be why you feel this incessant need to work, you have a drive, but right now it's driving you. You don't have a drive, you are being driven. And that is not the proper relationship with your path. So you have to relinquish that perfectionist, critical voice in order to really fully step into and feel whole within the journey you're taking. All right, I'm going to read this. I'll show you the art. This is a Kuan Yin oracle, the wild Kuan Yin oracle. There's another Kuan Yin deck, but this is the wild Kuan Yin oracle. It has a little text on the back. I quite enjoy this deck is just really pretty. But be guided now. Allow yourself to be guided. The guide cannot take the steps for you. That is your job. But the guide can show you the way. It is up to you if you choose to take it, whether you tread carefully, dance, or run along the sacred pathways towards the living arms of the Holy Mother. She is always there to help you. So the Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva. She is basically an ascended master of just mothering energy. I've always felt her as like a very soft, sweet mothering energy. The kind of mother that many of us don't get. But I just think that's so sweet that, older women with the young daughter and like this just floatiness. But I also think that right now this is there is definitely this guiding into this, your solar essence, the fulcrum, the central. I love that the sun shows up in the center. It's just perfect. This central, it's almost like going within until you find the deepest part. It's not, how do I describe this? Okay. There's a need to allow your inner child to be the guide in order for you to step into the Hierophant. Because if you take the cues of your inner child, you come into contact with your eternal essence. And there's that is the guiding force, or the guiding hand to get you to the point of finding that the steps on your path, but you are ultimately still the one that has to take them. Right? How do I explain this? Like, there's something else. There's just like this little nugget. And I feel like with the line, like, into the arms of the Holy Mother, it's really learning. I think that's into, like, coming into the fold of being your own parent. Because you will feel that mothering energy when you know what it feels to mother yourself. It's like coming into your own arms. Oh, that's all I got. Pile 2. Pile pink hippo. Ah. I love this little thing. And I love you very much. If this reading resonated with you and you would like it expanded upon, you can hit me up at my website, friendlymystic.com, to book a reading, or you can go to my Patreon and receive a extended reading of this spread to get more insight. And I really hope this helps. Pile 2, you have your work cut out for you, but I feel like you're going to have this something's going to just show up. Like, I don't know, it's just gonna, like, one day you'll have the realization whether or not you actually take that step to let go, and heal from that verbal abuse. That's up to you. I love you. Bye. Hello, pile 3, or pile yellow lion, pile lion. Let's just talk about the lion for a second. And this is definitely a matter of the heart. You might be a Leo or need to look at your Leo placement. There is a need to be authentic and warm, and also recognize your inner strength. Leo as a sign rules the heart and is the leader. It's the sun is the central the central point and animator of the entire solar system. Without the sun, there is no life. And recognizing the need for some sort of central figure, or to potentially in this case heal your relationship with an authority figure in your life. The Leos are amazing leaders, king of the jungle, right? But there may have been some way that when you were a child, you were not allowed to have agency or control. There may have been a domineering or controlling person in your life. And if we're talking about the sun, especially with this yellow color, like it's just so vibrant, or in talking about the sun, there is this, there is that connection to the father or the father figure, either a lack thereof or a unhealthy representation of the father. So that may be related to your reading. If not, don't take that. But yeah, let's get to the heart of the matter. So let's spread these cards out. Ooh, we have the Magician in the center. We've been getting a lot of central. Let's see if I can actually show you this card. So you can see it. It's the Queen of Cups reversed. And then we have the Riddle and Beaver Spirit reversed. So I just want to show you the spread because I think it's very helpful to see it and then to get some sort of what's the word? Just to soak in the imagery, to really see what is there. And I'll just, because we're working with tarot and some people have some relationships with these cards, I'll list this one out. It's the Eight of Wands, Two of Cups reversed, they're both reversed, the Magician, the Queen of Coins reversed, and then the Seven of Coins upright. Which, God, that's so goofy. I love that. But I'll let that be for a moment and just let you soak it in. Well, hello, pile 3, pile Lion. The first card in your tarot spread is the Eight of Wands reversed and the Two of Cups also reversed. So I feel like there is some relationship, romantic or otherwise, that either someone is running away from, isn't moving forward, there's some sort of blockage here. Either there's a fear from, I get the sense this is more on your end, to be honest, that, and it may not even be a specific relationship either, but it's more of the idea that there is something moving away from or impedes its travel towards relationship with intimate partnership or friends. There are people, there may or may not be people in your life right now that you feel that you want to be close to, but there's just something in the way of you actually going forward and being with them, being in the company of other people, this beautiful equivalent exchange of vulnerability and emotionality. And in the center, we have the magician, which, we all love to see a magician, I think. The thing about the magician, though, is that while this is like upright and I would say a balanced energy, it's not a very intimate energy. It's not one, it's very mercurial in nature, which is very mental of the mind. Like, magician knows how to be charming and how to talk, but when it comes to the deeper matters of the heart and this really equivalent exchange of emotions and vulnerability, it's just not the magician's strong suit. And I think part of the reason that is that this magician energy shows up in the center is because I feel like your focus, because you're moving away from like actually being in union with whatever that is, it might not even be another person, it could just be within yourself. I tend to see the Two of Cups as somebody else, but if you're running away from being emotional with somebody else, it's because you are likely doing the same thing internally. You're likely not able or have a lot of fear about being emotionally vulnerable even with yourself, because that brings up a lot. And so when you do that, I think you get into this, you may or may not be doing this consciously, but what ends up happening is that you're much more focused on manifesting material abundance and like being on top of like stuff. Like you want luxury goods or like luxury, you want, the finer things in life. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel stable. But what's the point of sustaining life and having materiality if it's not meant to then support you in experiencing deep connections or experiencing the thing that brings us joy, which is really relationships? So there's a fear around that. And I feel like with this Queen of Coins in reverse, this Queen of Pentacles, it's about hoarding. This isn't a generous energy. And it's not in the way that you may not be able to feel secure in what you possess. You also, it can lead to, gathering resources, squirreling money away constantly, and never feeling like enough, even if you likely do have quite a bit of assets as this pile of cheese seems to connotate. You are not willing to be generous with your emotions. And it makes it hard. Like, it's kind of like that conflict. I don't know how to explain this other than, you it's like not being able to buy somebody a nice gift. Not because you don't have the means to do so, though you may feel like you don't, and maybe you don't. It's more of I know how to buy for me. I know what I want. I know what I like, but I don't know how to get in touch with what other people would want. Or like it doesn't cross your mind. Like somebody, like I think particularly when people talk about horoscopes or, getting tarot read, we're always seeking for something to give us something. Much like, someone like, oh, someone's gonna bring in some, I'm gonna receive a gift. Like we always look forward to our birthday. But you also there has to be a gift givers in order for people to receive. And it's not that you don't want to. I don't want to say you don't want to, especially if this little line is about, in regards is presiding over this reading or this energy present with you. Leo energy and Leonin, I don't know. Energy is very generous, very giving. Maybe even to a fault, depending on how this energy expresses in your life. But I get the sense that there's this moving away from the intimate relationships out of fear of not being able to receive enough, or, oh, there it is. There may have been a time in your life where you were way too generous, way too giving, way too hard on the sleeve. Not that there's anything wrong with hard on the sleeve, but it wasn't just like your vulnerability led you felt like being vulnerable led you astray. You felt like putting it all out there really backfired on you, and it was not returned in kind. And now you feel a little bit closed off, a lot of it closed off. You turn away from being intimate in relationship. And so now you're in this manifesting, creation, but for the wrong reasons. Because that generous nature is not just because I think part of the problem here is that we have to give without expecting the other person to do anything with the gift we gave them. They may not even know it's a gift. And that's okay. But if you didn't have any boundaries around giving, you likely gave too much. And you have to learn how to create this. You have to learn how to know what your boundaries are so that when you give, it's truly just no strings attached. No, nothing. No expecting of anything. No feeling like you put yourself out or that they put you out because you expected to get it back. And with the Two of Cups reversed, it can also be this codependency can come up with the Two of Cups reversed. And I feel like you may have recognized that had come up for you. And I feel like with the little lion, the Leo, that lion energy, the big-hearted, generous, warm, that central, like, emanating, like, essence that everyone has and is, like, probably the most visible when we're children. That is like a superpower. And your inner child probably felt like they were supposed to get something back. And in good faith, gave. But then learned that, oh, when I give, I never receive back. This also can come up in a discernment of, like, who to give to. Like, who can you rely on to receive from in intimate relationships? Because there's an interdependency and then there's codependency. Those are different. So I feel like you came to the realization of, like, oh, you were likely codependent, that you realized you were giving too much in relationship, but now it's come into this feeling of well, I can't give to people because I can't rely on them to give back to me. I can't trust other people, especially if I feel like this comes with, like, this could be being with a partner where you were the caregiver, where you took on an outsized role of breadwinner to the point that you were supporting them and enabling them to do in ways that weren't healthy. And in that, you felt like you were the responsible adult. You felt like, you had to be there because this person couldn't care for themselves, but you weren't helping them or doing them any favors by being that person. In fact, in a lot of ways that can really not force them, but it doesn't give them the opportunity to grow and develop and be able to care for themselves. And it could also have been just being in a situation where you had to provide. the person you were with or the person like in your family couldn't provide. Maybe they were disabled, and so you were put into this role. Either you put yourself in that role, or you were put into this role by the stars, fates, everything. Where you were just constantly providing, and so now you've kind of get into this place where you're like, well, now I'm just doing this for me. You've recognized that you give too much. You become you were too much of a caregiver. You ended up in codependent relationships, and so now you're just, in some way, now you avoid relationship altogether. But I feel like in this situation, it's really remembering. Your inner child wants you to remember that it's okay to give. It's okay. It's okay to be warm and vulnerable with people when you've actually solidly created the boundaries and the structure for yourself to know when someone is accepting or you are giving, and you are giving good faith. And two, I feel like there's a second one, but I don't know. Just like having the discernment to know who do you actually come into union with, friendship or otherwise, that is reciprocal. Because the Two of Cups naturally is a reciprocal state. I mean, they look like a 69. It's reciprocal. And so where do you go from here, right? Where do you land after? And I feel like this magician has more to say than just you were trying to manifest, but you have to recognize that the magician has all of the tools. It has an even balance of pentacle, wand, cup, and pentacle, wand, cup, pentacle, wand, cup, sword, and sword. So nothing about the magician never neglects any element in their life, be it physical, emotional, which I feel like right now the cups are being neglected, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, or passion related, be it the wand, or mental. I ran out of space, so there's a cut. Oh well. I do feel like we can start getting into some of these other cards. We talked about the tarot quite a bit. I guess one thing I will say is that you gotta release, like there's this holding on to things as like a safety blanket. That is no replacement for. That's what I feel like is happening right now. Is that the tools or the toys, shiny things, objects are kind of being used as a poor substitute for intimate relationships. And that is part of the problem. Your inner child knows the difference between you, if in regards to the Two of Cups being about an internal union with yourself, between you and your inner child, and actually being a reciprocal witness for the emotions you're having, holding space for those. Your inner child knows when you're just buying stuff to feel something and when you're actually present for them, because you can shower yourself in all the gifts in the world and really feel it and like call it self-care, but if you're not really paying attention to the way you feel, the new shiny thing you bought isn't going to make up for that. Not to say that you can't have nice things. Please have nice things. I hope you have all of the nice things. But your inner child, like, it's like a feeling of, like, when you have like you've probably seen this stereotype or this idea of like the rich parent who is never present and it just completely ignores their kid and just buys them nice things. That kid is still neglected. That kid may never want for anything in their life, get every single desire they've ever, a physical desire, but never ever get the emotional recognition from their parent that is in need. So you may have had that in your life where your parent, ooh, I don't like that sound, or the sound of that. For some of you, this may have been a parent who was verbally abusive or abusive to you, or you had some weird relationship with, that was codependent, and the way they made up for that was by giving you stuff. And so in some way, the way you're like, oh, this is how I show myself love, I get myself something nice, and you don't actually handle or, even apologize to yourself for something you did or said. Some of you need to forgive yourselves and even that parent, instead of just buying yourself something nice. Don't shoot the messenger. And the riddle card shows up here. It's kind of weird to me. It's kind of like advice for the spread. It's a little odd to me because the riddle is not something that's meant to really be solved. It's the presence of the riddle in and of itself that is nourishing, I guess would be the right word. And it feels like a pedantic exchange of words, but I think it makes sense. There's some deeper wisdom in the riddle in and of itself. I don't know what that riddle is for you. What? I almost want to pull another card on this riddle. It's a riddle. I'm having a riddle with a riddle. Okay. That's interesting. Perhaps you have felt stuck with this conundrum of, I take care of myself. You take care of your body. You take care of your desires. The kind of capitalist consumer self-care of like taking a bath, some nice, soaps and scents, but not allowing yourself to feel connection with other people. I think part of the riddle is like, how do you figure? Oh, interesting. So even so you may have you may even say, I have friends, I have people in my life, I don't not love anyone. But the thing is you don't feel, it's not intimate, it's not safe, there's still something there. And the riddle is this invisible wall. The riddle is, you're taking the tangible, physical, it's like you're going through the motions of having friends or having intimate relationships. It's like, I have a partner, I tell them, I don't hide anything from them. You may feel like you're actually, it's like, how do I feel the intimacy? Like, where's the intimacy? It feels like it's been hidden. There's this reaching, there's this pulling, grasping, that's just not, there's like, you're trying to connect, but you're coming up against this invisible wall, and you don't know why. You don't know why. And that's the challenge. Let's look at the beaver. I'm just looking at the text really quick. But before I even get into the text, let's look at the beaver card. It is in reverse. That's interesting. So it's about faulty foundations. The beaver, dam builder, master constructor. I heard the number 44. Weirdly, I don't usually get that, but it's the 4, the structure, the square. Also, it could be related to the master number 22 or 22 if you have that as a life path number, which is a master builder again. This one is a 6 in the card, which I don't know. I don't know if that connects with anybody. Maybe for a very small few of you, might not be related at all. But there's some foundation in your life that needs to be. Ooh, that's interesting. That needs to be replaced, torn apart, reassembled. It's funny because I actually just got a ad, like, you know, someone just coming around putting little slips of paper in mailboxes of for foundation repair. So there needs to be an evaluation of like what your foundational beliefs are. What is it that you've actually, this is for the invisible wall. For the invisible wall, they're reaching, they're not really getting there. The invisible wall is just there to teach you something. To show you, like, to make sure that you actually realize that there's an issue, almost. I don't know if that makes sense, really. I don't think it needs to make sense to me. But it's almost like you have to go under before you can just go straight through. There's something circuitous, I don't know. I'm not circuitous? Going around underneath, like you have to find a different way through this puzzle, through this riddle that you're bumping up against. And you know what? This will lead to a deeper, more thoughtful form of your manifestation. Because I feel like you have this magician card here for, you know, you're manifesting something, but the thing is you're so focused on the material circumstances, I guess. Not that, like, you're so focused on the way that it looks that you don't remember that you have to remember that you have to be in touch with the way it makes you feel. And when you get in touch with that and you go and you look at your foundations of these beliefs, of the origin point of where you learned that it wasn't safe to be in relationship, or where you may have, oh, interesting, there's just more coming in, where you may have like solved some of this with realizing you came to the realization that your foundation for getting into relationship was rotted, right? Codependent. Whether you feel like the provider or that you're the giver or the taker in either situation, and thus you kind of repelled yourself from them. Now you actually have, in some way, maybe you thought you dealt with it, which is why you're coming up against this riddle. You thought you dealt with the codependency, but the thing is instead of actually fully dealing with it, you recognized it, and then you're like, oh, okay, then I'm just not going to get into intimate relationship. I'm just going to avoid it. I'm not going to go to it. But it doesn't work like that. Sorry. So you have to go through your foundation, go into why you were getting into a relationship like that, so that when you come back with the wisdom of the riddle, you will walk through that invisible wall because it's not there anymore. Let's look at the Kuan Yin card. Kuan Yin, this is from the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. Kuan Yin is a Bodhisattva, basically like an ascended master who's like an awesome mom. She's very sweet, loving energy, and I just saw 1111 on the time. That's awesome. So I'll just let you soak in the image and get it to focus on this. And then I'm going to read, because it has a little blurb on the back. Love makes all things possible. I love that. Love makes all things possible. Take your time, commit to your inner journey, your foundations, and don't give up. The Divine Mother is always there. Success will be yours. I don't even think I need to follow that up with anything. Like, that is just perfect. That is so perfect. I think that's it. All right. Pile number 3, Pile Lion. Thank you for coming here and receiving this message. I really hope that your inner child can is really, you feel that. I don't know, you got the message. I really hope you got the message, because all the messenger can do is deliver it, right? If you want an extended version of this reading, or you want to dig deeper into what this reading was talking about, you can contact me on my website, Friendly Mystic, and book a private reading with me, or you can go to my Patreon and get an extended reading there. I love you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.